Hello, hello, hello. This is Misty Magdalena Grace with the new and improved version of Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, where we talk about spirituality, psychedelics, plant medicine, microdosing, and really that journey within to finding your best innate wisdom, to your best health, your best wealth through all sorts of inner child healing, trauma release, grief recovery, overcoming addictions, and working with the mind, the body, and spirit. So go ahead, leave a review, subscribe, download. We look forward to your feedback. Thanks for tuning in today. Hello, everyone. This is Misty Magdalena Grace. If you're new to my YouTube channel or my podcast, I am usually on here a lot more, providing inspiration, divine wisdom, and channeling that I receive from my guides and ancestors. And as a medicine woman and a healer, I'm also in the trenches, not only with my own personal healing, of course, but with helping others. And admittedly, I haven't done a monologue in over a month. I have been in processing mode. I have been in integration mode. So before I continue with my story of how Mount Shasta broke my heart wide open, if you're new to my channel, I encourage you to like, subscribe if you want to stay around and hear more inspirational wisdom from myself and others. We have some very, very powerful guests coming up in the next several weeks. Suicide Awareness Month is also coming up in September. So you'll hear more about that as you continue to follow me. So if you've seen me post about Mount Shasta, if you're following me on Facebook, you know that we went there. And if you've been following me for a while, and if not, here's just a quick clue. For 4 years, I have been working on my heart, brain, that whole time. I had a lot of numbness. I had a lot of unprocessed grief, unprocessed trauma. I didn't understand it. And I had been numbing myself all sorts of different ways: alcohol, food, busyness, work, social media, being available 24/7, being all things to all people. And I now sort of use the analogy of like I had 5 layers deep of a brick wall, so 5 brick wall layers around my heart, and that I just couldn't feel anymore because of so much loss, so much unprocessed stuff. And truly, over 2020 to 2023, had a massive spiritual awakening. And thankfully, as a result of that, I felt more joy, more bliss, more acceptance, more abundance. Really came back to who I truly am at the very core of my being. But this year, 2024, we're going to be in these trenches of ascension and all this processing and integration and shadow work, probably for another 2 years, if not more, so that we can ascend to that next level. Whatever, everybody has different thoughts about what that means. I'm not going to go into that. You can watch previous episodes of my channel about the 5D ascension process, Age of Aquarius. But I knew I needed to level up. And my husband and I had been called by Mount Shasta. I'll explain in a little bit what that means in a second. But we felt the call and we heeded the call. If you don't know much about Mount Shasta, it's a mountain in Northern California. It's known by thousands and thousands of people around the world as the sacral chakra of the planet. Now, the sacral represents sexuality. It represents creativity, playfulness, creation from no thing, like the womb of all creation is, as a mother's womb. I've given birth to 2 children, so I know the miracle of childbirth. It's also around abundance and receiving and receptivity. Now, some would argue that it's the root chakra. I've actually heard both, but I mostly heard about sacral. And quite honestly, with what happened for me in Mount Shasta, I can honestly say that it was definitely more my sacral that felt like it got a lot of work done. But if you haven't heard of Shasta, people ascend or descend upon the small town of around 3,000 people every year to basically heal, to rest, to simply just take in the high vibrational frequencies of the mountain. People go there for spiritual retreat, sacred ceremony, healing, recreation. Basically, these people go there to have a pilgrimage. It's really known to be and regarded as a sacred spiritual portal that allow sincere seekers, such as my husband and myself, an opening for deep spiritual purification, insights, downloads, upgrades, experiences. In fact, the Sacred Spirit Mountain is the Pit Rivers tribe's definition or meaning for the name Mount Shasta. So again, it means sacred spirit mountain. Now, every mountain is sacred. Every mountain is spiritual, in my opinion, as a medicine woman and healer and teacher. However, this one's really special. And so I went there with my husband and my two children, and we spent roughly around a week around Father's Day last month. So it wasn't a workation. We actually did not go there for a healing retreat of any kind or a spiritual ceremony. There was no business that we were having. A lot of times that's what we had been traveling for the past few years. We were just being as a family and unplugging. I even brought, since I was talking about my heart, I even brought this book. If you are watching this on YouTube, this is The Heart Brain by Marie-France Louvel. And of course, I won't go into that book, but it talks a lot about, that heart brain is 5,000 times more magnetic, right, than the head. And I have a shadow work certification. I've taught this, magnetism, and how when we come from the heart, life is so much more delicious, rich, rewarding, fulfilling. And so, and I've experienced that now since I've done so much heart opening and heart expansion and heart cleansing and clearing. So admittedly, I thought it was kind of ironic because I wasn't expecting what was about to happen when I got to Shasta, even though I was even reading that book. So the mountain delivered. From day one, my healing and purification and heart opening started. In fact, that's why I called this podcast, how Mount Shasta broke open my heart. And I want to share with you some lessons that I hope inspire you, encourage you. So we had the first whole day, we got there around 5 a.m. We had the whole day to explore. So we got a rental car right away at like 6 in the morning. It was great. We ended up seeing Castle Lake, Lake Siskiyou. We did some trail hiking. We kind of got the lay of the land too for what we wanted to do for the rest of the week. We went to Pluto's Cave. It was incredibly beautiful and magical. We checked into our Airbnb and we knew that there was a sound healing that we could go to that first night. There's so many opportunities in Mount Shasta every day. And so what I didn't expect, because I started the day really excited, fired up, enjoying my kids, enjoying my husband, enjoying nature, that what happened that evening I did not expect. And it kind of set the stage for really the next 30 plus days of deep, deep healing. So we went to that sound healing. There's she's actually world-renowned, galactic channel, gifted sound healer. And the moment I laid on the floor, I had already felt some resistance, and I felt some what I call contraction type energies, where I felt my high heart chest area kind of like locked up and stiff and tense. I felt subdued energies, not depressed, but subdued, just like somber, I would say. And the moment I lay down, my husband was there too. The moment I lay down, even before she started with the sound healing, which went on for an hour, I just bawled my eyes out like a baby, just fetal position, snot coming, like nonstop sobbing. And, I was in a public place. If I hadn't been, I probably would have been wailing, who knows, maybe even screaming. And ultimately, just straight for 1 hour. In fact, if we had a 2-hour sound healing, I probably would have still kept going. That's how much, and I could just feel my heart and my womb just so expanded and broken open. What I didn't expect either was the next morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. with no alarm. Why would you wake up at 5 a.m. on vacation, right? And I felt like I was having like a psychic attack or a psychotic breakdown. I tried to open my eyes and they were almost completely swollen shut from all the crying I did. I couldn't breathe through my nose because, again, of all the crying that I did. I just, jumped up, got out of bed, paced the floor, did everything I could not to like scream or make noise because of my family still sleeping, and being in a community that small, you're not too far away from the next neighbors. But at the end of the day, I thankfully had all my tools, thankfully to 2 years of developing a spiritual daily sacred practice. I was able to immediately get into that space, meditate, to breathe, to pray, to work with my hape medicine to ground me. I did a card pull from the herbal astrology deck just to kind of get clarity on what's going on. And part of what came through that first crying session that I then worked on in that really, really, really intense, almost like psychosis experience the next morning, was like the mountain was giving me permission to open up to a new layer of wounding. And the word that kept coming to me over and over again was disappointment. Disappointment. It's all I was hearing. I was like, what the heck is this all about? I've done a lot with grief, abandonment, shame, guilt, fear, not feeling enough, all of these like limiting beliefs and perfectionism. I've healed so much in the past 3 years. Disappointment was a new one. And I knew that the mountain and the energies, and of course, all of the healing to this, up to that moment, led me to this point, that my inner child, my divine teacher within, my inner guru was like, hey, it's time for you to look at this. We have a saying in our healing business: you can't heal what you don't feel, and you can't heal what you don't name. And without these things, literally, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, you could be constipated, literally and figuratively. And I had been for so long. A lot of the grief and trauma was also connected to my digestive health, and I could go on for hours about all of the things. But at the end of the day, I was given this gift, even though it didn't really feel like it in the moment. And once you name and heal and start to feel, you can rewrite the story. You can reclaim parts of yourself that had been lost, forgotten, shut down. So thankfully, again, as a wounded healer, someone who's been on the path for a while and then back into the saddle as a healer in this body and this lifetime, remembering who I truly am, I knew that this was going to be a huge opportunity. It was so interesting because after that, my period started 2 weeks early. 2 weeks early. Not a coincidence. My body was in total purification, cleansing, healing mode. So I connected with my spirit guides, my ancestors, my animal totems. I connected with a mountain, and I said, what is this teaching me? What is the gift in this? What is the lessons? And I just, stream of consciousness, I felt disappointed in myself for so many parts of my life: my marriage, motherhood, business partnerships, not being there when people died, not taking time, choosing me and not doing that, and grieving for someone. I didn't take the time to grieve properly. And I recognized that because I had done so much work, usually depression or even anxiety, but usually depression, underneath that is sadness and anger. And I had done such great work on those emotions that disappointment was the next natural thing to come into my consciousness, to be up for letting go. And so continuing on that Tuesday when I had that breakdown and so on and so forth, I just continued every day. Ever since then, I've cried every single day over this word of disappointment. It's fascinating. I even cried this morning. Full disclosure, my dad came through this morning and just, encouraged me. And I had, disappointment with him that, I got to cleanse and purify. So by being able to go and use the tools to experience all of that, Shasta had given me the most vibrational energy that I could to raise that up from my central nervous system, from my cellular DNA, and allow to purify my soul. I believe when we cry, especially that much, it's not like, oh my gosh, I should go get antidepressants. I'm not against that, but I knew that thankfully that's not what I needed. But it's like my soul was giving me an opportunity. My little girl was giving me my opportunity to just cry and let it all go and love it, accept it, every last bit of it. And I really wanted to share this with you right now because so many people are hurting. So many people are, depending on who you're talking to and how honest you are, you might be struggling. You might be holding back. You might be thinking, is this, gosh, how much more healing do I need to do? Can I just get a break already? But here's the good news. We also went on a shamanic journey with a shaman who actually has Siberian roots. She took us to 3 sacred sites. And part of my disappointment was definitely connected to the loss of my 12 friends who had committed suicide. And I'm getting ready to, launch my foundation around that topic and helping people with mental health and breaking the stigma around suicide, addiction, and all of the things that I struggled with personally. And when I told her I had 12 friends committed suicide, she said, oh my gosh. She wouldn't tell me why. She just kind of looked at me. And when we went to one of these beautiful, amazing sacred sites, these peaceful gardens, she had me go to the circle of trees and she had me walk around and count the number of trees. It was so mind-blowing and heart-opening because there was 13 trees. So at first I was confused. I'm like, shouldn't there be 12 if this was connecting back to my story? And she said, And so the message or download that I got, from Mary Magdalene, because she was the apostle of apostles. She helped work with the disciples. She was the 13th. Number 13 is also divine feminine, and that's what's rising up to greet us. Mount Shasta is feminine energy. All of that healing that's happening right now for us is mother wound, ancestral trauma around the feminine being shut down, all of these things, these signs, these teachers, and also, realizing that I was the 13th person of my 12 friends who committed suicide and who did die, or died by suicide, rather. I could have been one of them. And so to bring that back to my disappointment, I really got to release and heal a lot of the disappointment in myself, the disappointment around the grief, the anger, for losing all these friends and not, being there for them in the way that I thought I could or should be. And it was magical. And then if you're seeing this in my blog post at magdalenagrace.com, there is a picture of me and my husband on that mountain. So we also got to do some healing for our marriage, healing for our inner children, releasing disappointment from our own experiences as married couple. Man, it's not easy, especially right now, to be partnered, although your partner is your best mirror. I will tell you that, since I work with a lot of partnered women and couples. You can run, but you can't hide. And the mountain was there to help me let go of that. And there's a picture of me and my husband in the blog post that you can take a look at. So why am I sharing all this? What did I learn? What are the last little tidbits here that I could share with you to inspire you? I share this partially because I have a lot of clients who are like, oh my gosh, I've been feeling the call to go to Mount Shasta. And I would say, go. We're hoping to have a retreat there next year, hosting it. So stay tuned about that. But ultimately, it was an amazing, amazing opportunity for me to be able to let go. And on the other side of that, over these last 30 days, as I've been processing, integrating, and recoding myself, and coming back to even a deeper sense of love and compassion for myself, I felt so much more connected to myself, my children, my friends. I've opened up to so many more friends, because when you've lost 12 friends to suicide, it can be hard and scary to make good friends again. But I was able to just open up, gotten together with so many more friends. I've talked to so many more friends. I've gotten way, way deeper and feeling the joy and the peace and the connection and the solace from this beautiful human life that we live. A lot of times we feel like we live in isolation and we're all alone, but we're not. And there was a time too where it was really hard for me to go out and be in groups and things because I was so like overwhelmed with the energies, but everyone is a mirror. So I was kind of tired of being a hermit. And now I've been able to go out to more and more groups since then and not have all of that anxiety or concern or, I just feel so much more authentic because I worked on this deep layer of disappointment. Another thing about disappointment specifically is I was able to talk out a lot. I have an autoimmune disease in my throat and I shut myself down. And I know I'm a talker processor. A lot of times that's how I connected with so many friends before. I got married and started a family and kind of lost my way through a lot of childhood trauma that came up in the first year of my marriage. And becoming a mom was a huge trauma for me too, because I never had a mom really. So at the end of the day, I was able to work in that layer of that disappointment for a lot of things. And once I could heal more of that, I could see changes in my husband. I could see changes in my relationship, especially with my daughter. And so having more of that childlike innocence coming through, having that, more acceptance and peace and all of the things that I've already mentioned was worth its weight in gold of crying every day. I mean, there's been some days where I cried like half a day, even back here at home. And like I said earlier, I call myself a wounded healer because I'm on this path with you. I might be a healer who helps co-create and facilitate your healing process. But this allowed me now to have a bigger capacity. Like my heart feels bigger, hold more empathy and compassion for myself first and love, but then be able to hold more space. As we have more light in our body, our light bodies, as we go through this ascension process, we can be more grounded in our truth, but also more grounded for others. So these are reminders. You don't even have to go to Mount Shasta, although it's pretty profound. Just got to be ready for it. It's like getting ready for a medicine journey or getting ready for combo or getting ready for a big thing in your life that, is about to change you. I just want you to prepare. And even if you don't go to Shasta, how can you spend more time with you in nature, on a mountain somewhere, allowing yourself to just to be and to cry and to heal and to feel and to name? And maybe even just bringing up that word disappointment. Have you ever felt disappointed? If that resonates with your spirit, write it down and journal about it. The biggest thing that I had, and I sort of talked about this already, but the biggest takeaway I had was disappointment is something that you talk it out with, having sounding boards, whether it's friends, your partner. I've spoken a lot of truth to my partner in the past 30 days, and it's radically shaken things, but it's made us so much better. Being able to have a coach. I have a coach. I have a trauma-informed resource that supports me through this too. This isn't something you ever want to do alone. It could actually be a little more destabilizing. Having tools to support you after you go through something like that, even during, was pivotal for me. So just know that as you get stronger, your soul, the oversoul, the collective consciousness is going to give you more opportunity to bring things up front and center. And that's a gift. That'll prevent cancer. That'll prevent disease. That'll help you have more authentic relationships, have more fun. Healing doesn't have to be all, sad and, crying. You'll have more fun and get more connected to your heart, which is the seat of your soul, the home of your truth. If you want to lean into authenticity, lean into your heart healing, that's where the magic is. Sometimes when you face fears like that, it's scary, it's intense, but it took me 30 days to be able to do this podcast. just create more spaciousness in your life. Allow for more of that so that these beautiful gifts can come up to the conscious expansion surface and allow you to process that. And again, if you've ever felt disappointed, don't sweep it under the rug. There's gold in them. They're hills, as they say. There's gold in that Mount Shasta experience that literally had me broken wide open. My heart, I could feel it just aching and just like cracking like an eggshell. But now it feels lighter. I feel younger. And if you have any questions about this, maybe if you haven't worked through some of your own disappointments, feel like that's a wound that's coming up for you, shoot me an email, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. I do one-time free consultations, or it could even be a paid recoding process call, whatever works for you. You can also share. If you saw value in this today, please hit the share button. Sharing is caring. Or maybe go and listen through it a second time. And if you liked also what you've listened to today and you haven't already subscribe my YouTube channel or subscribe to my podcast, please do. My next 3 episodes, they're already recorded, divinely timed, because we have the Mary Magdalene Day coming up on Monday, July 22nd. We have all sorts of powerful energies coming up, going into Leo season. Leo season leans into the Lionsgate portal, which opens up on the 28th. If you're local to me in San Diego, I'm having an event Saturday, a Yoni Steam. Only have 1 spot left for that, and time is of the essence. But I also have Kundalini, a Cacao and Connection on Monday here in Fallbrook on Feast of Magdalene Day. We're having a channel transmission breathwork sacred cacao ceremony on Saturday, July 27th, which is preparing you for Lionsgate, which opens the 28th and is open till August 12th, which is a time of deep manifestation and deep abundance and so much wisdom that can come through, so much healing. It sometimes has to get worse before it gets better. So all the more reason, if you need help, go to my website, magdalenagrace.com. There's a consultation link there, or just reach out to me via email. Again, support@microdosingforhealth.com. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was inspiring, especially for those of you who are into checking out Mount Shasta, or you're just going through a lot right now and your heart is hurting and you can use a little bit more grace, wisdom, and encouragement. So my encouragement to you is just remember, you really matter. You are more than enough. Your healing process is so deserving of some downtime, some nature time, if not Shasta, wherever. It is summer here, ultimately, in the Northern Hemisphere, so you can have more downtime. It's such a worthy investment for your ultimate success in life, in your best health, your best wealth, by connecting deeply with that rich, bountiful wisdom that lies within each and every one of us. So until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, your best wisdom. Check out these upcoming powerful podcast episodes. The next one's going to be about the awakened heart. Another one's going to be about the first woman, Lilith. And there's also a sexual healing coach who's going to be talking with me about all of that. So appreciate you. I'm in your corner. I wish you all the best success in life. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, download, leave a 5-star rating or review, and also please refer this to a friend you know who may benefit from this inspirational message. We hope to see you again. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or join my Facebook community. And if you are looking to manifest your best health, your best wealth by trusting your best wisdom within, please go to my website, www.microdosingforhealth.com. Again, www.microdosingforhealth.com. To quiet your mind, get into your heart, heal your body, and manifest your best health and your best wealth.